school?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my name is James Rawlings. I am a digital education developer based within the Veterinary School at the University of Bristol. And the Veterinary School sits within the wider Faculty of Health and Life Sciences.
Brilliant, thank you. What were the key drivers behind your decision to adopt MyProgress?
Okay, so we were on paper beforehand, and everything was a little ad hoc through the paper system. So my understanding of the main driver for moving into MyProgress was to digitise all of that, make it so that actually rather than best guesses at what students were actually putting together, I have something that's nice and transparent, has all the data there, and certainly that element of being able to track progress, deal with students that might be struggling at point of struggle, rather than suddenly finding out 3 months later, oh, they haven't got as many forms completed as they should have done, being able to go, right, they need that help now, and have that transparency for our kind of regulators. Anybody who came in, if they wanted to know, are you providing enough of this particular experience, we could quickly go to our forums and say, yes, our students are seeing X number of horses, X number of small animals, X number of exotics.
Brilliant, thank you. How have staff and students responded to using the e-portfolio system?
So staff and student response has actually been generally pretty good. I would categorise it into three elements. Obviously you've got academic staff, you have students, and then you've got practice staff. And across the board, we had very little pushback from practice staff, which I was surprised at. Haven't implemented other e-portfolio systems within other healthcare elements. We didn't have very much pushback from practice staff. We did an initial training session with them, followed by lots of drop-in sessions, and actually they've all been pretty much very happy. Certainly haven't had lots of feedback saying, I hate it, can we go back to paper as soon as possible. Students have picked it up, again, very quickly, just that initial training session followed by lots of drop-in ongoing support. We get actually very little communication from students that are struggling, so we don't get a whole raft of emails like coming through. It's usually just one or two a day, and it's usually, I've made a mistake on this form, can you update it or delete it for me please? And academic staff as well have picked it up and run with it. I think they are really enjoying that ability to be able to track student progress. So tutors, if they've got a tutor session, they can go in and very quickly see this is where my student is at, rather than having to wait for the student to come in, bring a whole sheaf of paper in with them, and then go through it with that student.
Brilliant, thank you. What specific challenges or pain points has MyProgress helped to address?
So I think the big one there is probably being able to actually report on what's being done. So being able to say to any regulator that comes in, being able to say, look, here you go, you can see our cohort, we can see how many forms are being completed across it. Are our students doing enough reflection? Yes, we've got this list across the whole cohort, you can see how many reflective items are being completed. Are they seeing enough of the right kind of cases? Well, we can quickly pull off and show you which types of cases they're dealing with, which species they're dealing with, where they're dealing with those, whether it's kind of small and exotic animal, whether it's out with equine, for example. Whereas beforehand, again with paper, it was very much of a slight guesstimate on the numbers the students were seeing.
Thank you. And how do you know that students are engaging with the system?
I guess our big one on that front is actually just being able to see the number of forms going through. So we only use it with our final year students, so year 5 students, and we have about sort of 200 or so students going through, and we can very quickly see that those students they're supposed to record every single case they see when they're out in practice, and you can see that that's happening. You take a quick student and you can quickly see that they've managed to put through 150, 200 case forms. I checked last week and I think we'd had 44,000 almost forms going through this year so far, so it's pretty good evidence it's actually been it's been used heavily by the students.